Hey guys, I'm James Roy. This is Courtney Ramirez, and we're married. And this is the Noise Date Night. And
Yeah, babe.
we've got once again multiple date nights to talk about this week.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a podcast where we review the movies we've seen on our weekly movie date nights.
Yep.
Which we love doing because Courtney's really into movies and I like watching them.
And then we just like talking about them.
Yeah, and I like talking to her. I think she likes talking to me. Um, so so we do this podcast. Um, this week we caught the Padres Astros game.
Yep.
Down in San Diego. One of the
Mm.
games where the Astros got thrashed pretty bad.
Yeah. I
Um,
kind of felt bad for you.
but before that we went to SeaWorld.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a lot better part of the day. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Shang-Chi, which is the movie we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll preview our next movie, which we'll reveal at the end of the podcast. But getting into it,
I'm excited to hear what the next movie is.
yeah, I'm excited to hear what it is too. Um, so anyways, SeaWorld. So being the kind of people we are, we didn't feel like waking up too early on
Yeah.
Saturday morning, so we just rolled out of bed around, I don't know, 10:30, and made our way down.
For the record, I wake up at 6. So,
Oh yeah, she was already up way longer before I was, but I mean, I rolled out of bed at 10:30.
Yeah.
We got on the road around 11.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up some Chick-fil-A like any red-blooded American would do, knowing that tomorrow it would be closed. And then we made our way into SeaWorld. We paid to park, but with the combination of our teacher and military passes, we did not have to pay to get in, which was the best part.
Yeah.
Probably why we were okay with showing up around, I think we got there around 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think all we really needed was the 4 hours.
I thought it was perfect.
If you're like going with your family and you want to like actually see all the like aquarium stuff and catch all the experiences, you should probably show up a little sooner than we did.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, there's like a lot of little kiddie rides too that we obviously didn't go on because we're probably too.
we're adults.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say too big, but yeah, adults too.
And there's like 4 total rides that are like worthwhile in the park. One of them was shut down. One of them gets you wet, which is why we didn't go on that one. And so
Even
we
though
rode.
it was like 80 degrees, which for San
Yeah.
Diego, that's hot.
That's hot in San Diego.
Yeah.
But we caught the manta, which was really good. But my
I like
favorite
the manta.
my favorite was the electric eel. We rode that one
my
twice
gosh.
against Courtney's will.
I had to close my eyes like twice.
I don't think Courtney was. What did you say? You said that.
Why? Why are we doing
You
this?
said I said I thought you thought it was really cool the first time through,
and
and
I
you
said,
said, well, yeah, because I thought we weren't gonna go on it again.
exactly. It's like one of those rides. Like, yeah, you should go on it for the sake of going on it because there's not that many rides anyways, and it is fun initially, but then afterwards you're like, why did I do that to myself? Like, you're twisting, you're upside down, you're going forwards and backwards. I'm just like, yeah, no, not about this.
They told me I couldn't wear my glasses on the ride, and I understood why after we rode it.
Well, partially because we saw somebody go before us and their phone literally flew
Fell out of their pocket.
from their pocket and dropped.
And they wouldn't let us. Oh, they would have let us keep our phone in our pocket,
If you
but we didn't
wanted
want to risk it.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
There was no reason to risk that.
What's the point?
No, yeah. But we did that, and then after we checked out SeaWorld,
Mm-hmm.
we left. Solid experience. Parking was troublesome in San Diego for the Padres game. I probably could have planned ahead for that, but I didn't.
Yeah, I'd say if you're planning on going down there, definitely look ahead for some lots before you head out. At least probably go an hour before.
So we rolled in bottom of the second, and the Astros We're up 2-0 in the top of the second, but
We didn't even see those points.
no, we walked in and all we heard was our Padres fans cheering
Yeah.
because they put up 4 points in the second, and the game never
Yeah.
quite turned around after that.
I was
Which,
kind of indifferent.
but the game was good. It was a solid experience. Having worn an Altuve jersey to Dodger Stadium as an Astros fan, we haven't covered that. I'm an Astros fan. She's a Dodgers fan.
We make it work.
And we make it work. But having worn a Altuve jersey to Dodger Stadium, that was a tumultuous experience.
Literally fearful for your life.
Most Padres fans seemed indifferent, and the ones that tried to trash talk, I just simply reminded them that they are one game out of the playoffs right now, and the Astros are firmly in the lead in their division.
I also feel like there was just more Astro fans.
There was a lot more Astros
in
fans
San Diego than
yeah.
than in LA for sure.
But my favorite moment, honestly, was we were walking back to our car, and some Padres fan walked up to me and he said, "Hey man, win or lose, at least we're not the Dodgers, right?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, my wife's a Dodgers fan, so like I don't have any problem with that organization. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like
I was like missed connections, dude. I guess you thought we had something that we didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know."
and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." It's like, it's cool. It's not, but it's cool. It's fine. I'm fine.
No, but that was my favorite moment of the night, since the Astros didn't play to the standard that I would have liked. But
yeah, I mean, I felt bad for you because I love you, but
I don't know. How'd you feel about our San Diego day trip?
no, I love San Diego. I think San Diego is awesome. I think that, we met in San Diego, so it's always nice to go down there, and we haven't really been down there since we've been married, so I think it was good to just kind of like spend the day down there. And yeah, I love live sports.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even if it is two teams that I despise, but it was cool.
I mean, it's fun making fun of the Padres fans, like inability.
Love making fun of the Padres fans.
To adequately their sound system.
Oh my gosh.
Everything. I don't know.
They're like stuck in 2010. Like, I don't understand.
Pretty
like
much.
new music has come out since then. New trends.
No, yeah.
The coolest part was when they made their whole system look like it went out.
Yeah,
like it was a blackout.
The big board started showing these error signals like it was like running on Windows.
And people legit thought
they were like, "What happened?"
And they're getting hacked.
They were like,
I was like, "Wait, this is the best bit. This is the best thing they're doing."
Because it was believable. All the Padres fans were like, "Man, our stadium is just great," but
they're like, "Of course it's going out. We're getting hacked right now. Are they serious?" And I'm like just recording it because I thought it was so funny. Then they were like, "Make some noise."
It was like, yeah, everyone was making noise because they thought your system
I think
broke.
the lack of excitement throughout the game though that was prompted was just kind of meh.
They did have the wave going a good bit for like a second in the sixth.
Okay. Everyone can do the wave.
No. Comparatively, I've been to Fenway. I've been to Minute Maid.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Dodger Stadium, and I think every single one of those stadiums had a higher level of hype.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to the Yankee Stadium, and it's definitely hyped the whole time, and just like Dodger Stadium, it's hyped. And then you go to like the Angels and the Padres and all the other organizations that are just, subpar in style and in fashion and just all around not great,
Since I got into San Diego, I always made the joke that I would make a baseball joke here, but San Diego doesn't even remember the Padres are there.
And I mean, their team colors are brown and navy.
Yeah.
Rough
indeed. But that brings us into our the next part of our show. All right, this week we watched Shang-Chi, Marvel's latest venture into a realm they know really well. It's been a lot of TV shows and a lot of waiting recently, and I personally was super excited, and this movie did not disappoint. It grossed 71.4 million opening weekend. Generally well reviewed. I think it's like 8 out of 10 on IMDb, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Starring relative newcomer Simi Lui. Aquafina is in there, who is that's really the name that you should know. And we talked last week about the controversy around her. But as predicted, that did not deter the moviegoers. So surface level, when you get into a hero, that is brand new. No one's heard of them. The
Yeah.
story has to involve an origin story. It's not like you can do with the new Spider-Man movies
Mhm.
where you just go, yeah, Uncle Ben's gone. It's cool, right? Sorry if I spoiled that for anyone who hasn't seen Spider-Man, but Uncle Ben not around. Marissa Tomei, Aunt May. There we go.
Mm.
Covered it all.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving on. Um, so with Shang-Chi, there's that negotiation. Right? It's a 2.5 hour movie, and there's that negotiation.
It's long.
It's long, and so because you have to tell his origin story,
I know.
but
I
you
get
can't
it.
meander on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I feel like the movie did a good job of moving through his origin story. I didn't
Mhm.
think it was anything special, um, but they
Yeah,
did
it
they
was.
did it well.
It was. Yeah, I think it was kind of predictable.
Just
Yeah,
enough. Like
but it wasn't like long.
Marvel's
It
cooking
wasn't
with a
like.
cookbook. Okay, they're reading the ingredients and throwing them in there.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's not like it was like, oh, this crazy background story.
Yeah, no. It was very honestly, if there was a movie it reminded me of that I've seen recently, it's Snake Eyes to some extent.
Yes, I totally thought about Snake Eyes because of the whole training
Yeah,
and like the whole like
but it
discipline and
but it
all
was
that
done
stuff.
far better.
Well, yeah, because he was trained when he was a kid, and Snake Eyes was like a grown adult that was trying to do something else and not
Yeah.
really be there. I don't know.
But anyway, before we move any further
Mhm.
into this movie, I must issue the classic spoiler alert. From this point forward, if your ears are receiving what we're putting out with our vocal cords, you're liable to hear something you don't want to hear if you want to see this movie and not be spoiled. So get out while you can. Red alert! There is a spoiler alert
Coming.
in effect
The whole thing we're gonna do
right
is
now.
just tell you everything about the movie.
I'll
So
say it one more time just to
I
make
think they get
sure
it.
you have no excuse. 3, 2, 1.
Should we change our podcast name to Spoiler Alerts?
Maybe we'll have to look
We'll
into
think
it.
about that.
Think about it. That's too obvious. But there's probably already a podcast named that.
Okay, maybe
I
we
don't
should
know.
listen to it.
We should get some pointers.
Yeah.
But no, so this week, seeing as to how I picked the movie, I've decided that I will recount the plot for everyone.
Go for it.
So let's run it down. Shang-Chi starts with the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is his father, who's a man who has lived about 1,000 years. And that's because he's got these rings that are all powerful and they give him immortality. Eventually, he runs into what is later known to be Shang-Chi's mother in this forest. So for most of his life, he's viewed his purpose as kind of dominating and conquering, and he recounts many names that he's held throughout his life, like the Mandarin names that people have given him. But all that to say that he meets this woman and she denies him entrance into the village that he's been searching for. But eventually he keeps coming back and talking to her, and they fall in love. And then in comes Shang-Chi and his sister. And then later on in the movie, it covers her death, but what we find out is that she's gone. And then now his father, all of a sudden, thought he could change, but now he realizes he can't. He becomes more hardened, do it all, do what I say or die kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of enforces that on his kids.
Yeah.
Until eventually he sends Shang-Chi on a mission to kill his mother's killer, and Shang-Chi never returns.
Yeah.
And then we're taken to San Francisco, modern day.
Mm-hmm.
He's a valet
Mm-hmm.
with his now totally platonic and not romantic interest,
We'll get into
Aquafina.
that later, but
We'll get into that later, but for all intents and purposes, that's how it's viewed. They valet cars. They show up to a dinner date with their friend, and she's like, "You guys have so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Katie.
can't you? Yeah, Katie, you've got a degree from Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi, or he's known as Sean in America, because
Mm-hmm.
he decided that was a great, going from Shang to Sean, which Aquafina pokes fun at him for when she finds out that he's not who he says he is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. Well, they get up to go to work the next day. They hop on the bus, and it turns out that his mom left behind this pendant
Mm-hmm.
for him and his sister, and it's the key to getting to the village. We'll get into that later, but either way, Shang-Chi's dad needs the pendant in order to accomplish his goal. And so he sends a group of his people from the Ten Rings organization to retrieve it. That's when Aquafina finds out that Shang-Chi can fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's when a lot of stuff happens. That bus scene that you see in the previews goes down. And then Shang-Chi says he's going to go back and try and find his sister
Yeah.
based on a postcard he got a couple days before that he believes is from her. And Aquafina, a.k.a. Katie, is 100% down to go with him.
Yeah.
Because she's just a really close friend. Once again, we'll get deeper into that relationship later. Best friends. So she's like really mad at him for not expressing who he truly is to her. She's known him for half of his life, and doesn't have a firm grip on his full person until now. They on the plane ride, they talk about it. They get over there. Turns out his sister runs this like underground fight betting ring or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like the head fighter because she, obviously, while she couldn't train with the 10 rings, she was watching them the whole time.
Trained herself.
They reveal to her after Shang-Chi and her fight that that they thought that she had mailed them a postcard, and then they take off. The 10 rings ascend on the compound. That scene ends with them all getting taken back to the 10 rings compound, getting, I guess, captured. I don't know. That's not really what I would call it, but they probably takes him in. He
kind of just like takes them back home and they just go.
He's like, it's time for you to fulfill your destiny.
Yeah.
He's not mad about the fact that this dude literally ran away. He's like, I gave you 10 years to be yourself. He shows them that he's using the pendants to get a map. So their mother's village is in a forest that has a changing, it'll swallow you up if you don't know how to get through it. And the map shows them that on a certain days at certain times the path through kind of opens up.
Yeah.
So they discover that through a twist of fate. Shang-Chi, being the noble guy he is, calls out his dad. He's like, his dad's trying to go back and find his mom, and he says he's gonna burn down this village to try and do it.
Yeah.
So Shang-Chi, being high and mighty and American, at this point, I mean, he's been an American long enough, is like, hey, that sounds pretty wrong, dude. You can't do that. That's kind of BS. Him and everyone gets thrown into the jail cell while his father awaits the 10 days, or 3 days to go in and approach this. They find, I can't remember the actor who plays the prisoner, but he's just this British actor who's been imprisoned there for a long time. His character's interesting and funny, but it's like he's just right. He's just the right kind of guy for the job. And I bet Courtney can look him up real quick.
I'm gonna look him up.
But I'll continue with the plot. So he's imprisoned with this beast that's from the village and knows a way to get back to it. It's like a mythical creature, a faceless winged beast thing. So they break out of the compound, steal a BMW, because I think BMW is sponsoring them now instead of Acura. That's been ever changing. And then they're all electric BMW i3. They make their way out to the following this beast's directions. They get in there. Shang-Chi has his moment where his now aunt, I guess, he meets his aunt. His mother has this fighting style that was like good enough to beat his father, which was one of the big reasons she was able to woo him. His aunt teaches him that fighting style. It's revealed that, in fact, the 10 rings are being called through dreams using his mother's voice.
Oh, it's Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, it was like he's a lot more famous than just
he is
random
like
British
really,
person.
he's a really famous guy. No, I knew he was famous. But it's revealed that
Dude, he
there's
plays Gandhi in Gandhi.
There's like these otherworldly beasts behind this wall that were beaten by this dragon a long time ago, and they're calling to Shang-Chi's father because they know the 10 rings have the power that it takes to break the gateway that's holding them back. And so Shang-Chi obviously is like, yeah, that makes sense. Mom's dead.
He's not as random as we thought.
Clearly, yeah, because he's in Iron Man 3. Oh, jeez. My goodness.
Missed that.
Oh, yeah, of course. But they arm him up with the dragon scale stuff, which is the only stuff that can take out these beasts that are about to invade. Shang-Chi's dad rolls up. Obviously, they overpower them. Shang-Chi kind of, this is the point in the plot where he takes like more of a, well, my dad trained me to be a killer, so I guess I'm going to be a killer kind of mentality. Because, he has to do that before he realizes that his mom's way was the only way.
Yeah.
So then that fight, they managed to crumble or crunch a lot of times in movies. Those fights take place further apart, where like a character approaches it the wrong way and then gets his redemption and comes back. But within like a 20 to 30 minute span, the first fight happens, and then Shang-Chi comes back and figures it out. Um, he gets thrown into the water by his dad, comes up on a dragon. In the time that he's underwater, his dad gets to this gate, starts attacking it, and these beasts start rolling out. He flies up, confronts his dad, kind of says like, "Hey man," I don't know. They have like a pretty emotional heart to heart, and then his dad kind of realizes where he stands and how he's wrong. Gives up the 10 rings to Shang-Chi, which at one point in the battle, the second fight, Shang-Chi actually takes 5 of the rings. He takes control of them, which we get a glimpse of that when Shang-Chi's father fights his mother initially. So that's how we know he's in tune with his mother's fighting style. But all that to say, Shang-Chi's dad dies. I could have swore his sister was going to die. I was worried. But
I definitely was like, wow, they're gonna kill his mom, his dad, and his sister all
that's
before
rough.
he gets into the universe. That's not cool.
But it ends up working out. All the while, one of the underlying storylines is that while they're in this village, Aquafina's character doesn't speak a lick of Chinese, and they're talking to her in Chinese, and she doesn't
so
get
funny.
it. Or Mandarin. Sorry, I don't want to appropriate. I'm pretty sure it was the Mandarin dialect. I don't want to sound like an ignorant American and just say Chinese. It's not Chinese, but either way, they're speaking to her in a Chinese dialect, probably Mandarin since that's the most common one, but I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm
We
not
can
sure
look it
either.
up.
But essentially, she is going through a struggle. I think we're all familiar with, where she's like gets really hyper focused on something, gets kind of good at it, and then picks up something else. And it's discovered that she can actually do archery pretty well. So she picks up archery, and it becomes pretty pivotal because as someone who's like just been practicing for a day or two, she takes a shot that saves the dragon that's about to be killed by this big beast that has been unleashed. And then they end up living happily ever after, and win. Shang-Chi gets the 10 rings, and then they go back, and then they replay the scene where they're like at the bar with their friend, and they're recounting this event to her, and she doesn't believe it. That this is the end credit scene, and then Wong from Doctor Strange just kind of busts in and is like, "Are you Shang-Chi? And you're Katie? Come with me. Come with me. We got some stuff to discuss." I was like, "What? No way."
So does that mean he's gonna be in the Doctor Strange movie?
What does that mean? I think it does. One of the big implications here is that Shang-Chi's rings are they're not extraterrestrial, but they're not like of this world. So when you look at it, the implication is that when we look at other previews throughout the Marvel Universe, the Eternals are coming through.
Yeah.
And the Eternals are like of this world, but like from a different dimension kind of thing. And I think the general implication here is that the Eternals are starting to come into play because they were told not to interfere until now. And I think that Shang-Chi's 10 rings come from them because their origins are like thousands of years ago, like before his dad had the rings. And so I think that's the tie-in for him. I think he ties into the Eternals.
Got it.
But that's the whole plot in a very brisk run through. At least as brisk as I could try to make it. But what was your take on the relationship progressing between Katie and Shang-Chi?
I mean, I felt like the way that she kind of looked at him, it obviously left the door open to possibly explore that in the future or just be sidekick to Shang-Chi. I mean, can guys really have girls as their friends and never feel anything?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I
You know
don't
what I
think
mean?
they would if they wanted. There's some people that'll tell you that they wanted like her character to be like lesbian or something, but like I feel like Disney's pretty intentional on that stuff, and they didn't like they had plenty of opportunities throughout that movie to like give that twist.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe from her.
And I didn't get that vibe.
And I felt like anytime she did look at him, she kind of looked at him in a way.
Yeah.
Like when he had his shirt off in the fight, she just like kind of gave this look like, "Oh, wow." Like, okay, you know?
No,
And she
yeah.
could have easily just not. But I felt like that was kind of intentional too.
But the part that tears me
And
is
she
that
like would lean her head on him.
now I don't know a lot about
Things like
Awkwafina.
that.
I know she was in
body language.
Crazy Rich Asians, right? She was in Crazy,
Mhm.
and she has like
So
other
funny.
claims to fame, but
Yeah.
she just seems like the kind of character that plays side character. My comparison for her is like an Ant-Man. You have who's that one character who like they want to recount the entire Marvel universe? I can't remember his name, but the dude who's like a funny like character, but like he's definitely his life doesn't affect anything. Whereas like Katie is like a character that's vital. Like they've given her a role that's
Yeah, that's what I
important.
mean. I feel like she's kind of like the Piper to Tony Stark. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
maybe she'll be that.
No, yeah. But
Is it
other
Piper or Pepper? It's Piper, right?
Pepper.
Pepper. That's right.
I was wondering what you meant by
It's like
Piper,
Piper.
but
That
that
doesn't
makes
sound
sense.
right.
That makes more
It's
sense.
Pepper.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen the Iron Man. But clearly you too, because we didn't even realize that that was a
No, and that's the connection we have
character
with Ben
from
Kingsley.
Shang-Chi.
Ben Kingsley was, I believe he played, I can't remember what his role was in Iron Man,
Just looked it up.
but he played a pretty important role in the movie. He was like the villain or something.
Yeah, I think he was the villain.
So it's interesting
Iron
that he
Man
would.
3.
I think
Slattery.
it could give the implication of like the multiverse already kind of threading. Maybe Shang-Chi's from a different branch of the multiverse, because Loki opened up that window when King the Conqueror said, "Hey man, I don't really want to keep a sacred timeline anymore.
Mhm.
Everything's gonna split." So there's so much more to dive into with this movie in particular, because as huge fans of the Marvel universe, we have to look at it through the scope of like everything else that's going on, but trying to kind of bring it back into Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel the pacing was? I felt like I said early on, his origin story had to be told,
Yeah.
and they gave him 2 hours. I think it's so 2 hours and 25 minutes was like the runtime in theaters, but there's like
Mhm.
15 minutes of preview. So 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you risk losing the audience if you embellish it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I felt like they touched it in just the right way. But personally, what I got out of it was the way they painted his father,
Mm.
because they using I don't want to say they used very little screen time, because he was in the movie a good bit, but like
Yeah.
with as much screen time as they used, they told the story better
Mhm.
than they could have if they had used more.
No,
if that
yeah,
makes sense.
definitely. Mm-hmm.
Like they created a villain that was torn,
Mm-hmm.
which was and it like because there was times where you caught yourself kind of like feeling bad for him,
Yeah.
because it's like the dude lost his wife. They show scenes that kind of give you this hope where like he put away the 10 rings, which was why the village or his compound was left exposed, because his wife gave up her kind of powers and abilities that she
Mhm.
was drawing from her village, and he gave up the 10 rings so that they could live together. But in his past lives, there was other people that were frustrated with him. One of those groups came back to say, "Hey, someone's got to pay this debt because we've got a bone to pick." And while he was away, his wife got murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a point in the movie where he even tries to take that anger out on Shang-Chi. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"You were there, you watched it happen, and you did nothing."
Mm-hmm.
And that's just as much your fault as it is
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah, he's like a little boy at the time.
And so it creates this narrative of like, you want to feel bad for the guy, and then they give you reason to, because they're like,
Yeah.
he thought he could change,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was proven otherwise.
No, yeah, definitely. I think that he's more of like a villain, but also like an anti-hero, because he does end up like relinquishing the rings in the end, and ultimately he wants the safety of his kids.
Yeah, I think he realizes he was wrong. That was
Yeah.
plain and simple what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think that oversimplifies it. I think that's just what it was.
Yeah, and I think also it was more or less like a setup story for Shang-Chi and his like future moving forward in the MCU, because I feel like, or MC, what is it?
MCU.
MCU.
Marvel
It is.
Comics Universe.
That's right. MCU. I did say it right. So I think it sets it up for him to like continue on and have like other stories, other things to explore, other emotions. You know what I mean? As opposed to like always coming back and being like, oh, what happened to his father? What happened to his mom? What happened to here? Whatever here. Now it's like, okay, we know what happened to his dad. We know what happened to his mom. We know what's going on with the sister. Like, okay, now he's going to do his own thing. And I'm sure his sister's going to come back and be in something.
Well, yeah, and I think one other big point to cover is the real bad guy in this one, as much as Shang-Chi's father played that role,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the real bad guy was the beast that was let loose, and that's once again
Yeah.
where I draw my ties to the Eternals and like
Mm.
a beast from another world, but kind of the same world. It's not like extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
They're from this world. They're just from a different dimension of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting is that the only way to beat this beast was like through the use of specific weapons. So, initially, they're like, if we're gonna win, we have to band together. And they're like, we don't need your help. In the big fight scene where the Ten Rings people are like, we don't need your help, we're good. And then they
Mm-hmm.
watch like a small portion of this beast, like a little tiny bat compared to the big thing, just ascends down and just like kills this dude and just like takes his soul to like
Yeah.
take it back. The dude who had been like to this point, he was the mentor for Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
He was a real he's a bad dude. I wouldn't want to meet him on the streets.
No.
And he just got taken out like it was nothing. And this dude, you saw him in the preview with the big blade for a hand. I can't remember his name, but he goes, "Yeah, I think we need your help, guys. Let's
Yeah,
band
I think
together."
it definitely had that like cheesy fashion in some aspects. You know, like how
They sprinkled
Guardians of
it
the
in.
Galaxy is kind of cheesy in some ways, and
Guardians of the Galaxy is just cheese throughout,
yeah,
but
like
like in a good way.
yeah, and I feel like there are some cheese in this for sure. I know how much you love cheese, but
And I think that's what helped it too, because like Snake Eyes was like a movie where you're like
they
they're
were
trying,
trying not to have any cheesiness. But
and
it was like,
Shang-Chi was like, we're a Marvel movie, and
yeah,
we're gonna remind you every once in a while that this is a Marvel movie.
yeah, and this is like
Like
you're
this is the
obsessed with
comic books.
like superheroes. Yeah,
Exactly.
like they're obviously like not real people,
Yeah.
but here we are.
So
Here you are.
and yeah. So what about from a more technical aspect,
Mm-hmm.
like from like the visuals? What did you get out of that movie?
Yeah, I think in the beginning I wasn't too jazzed about the visuals. I thought it was a little I don't know, like not grainy but a little luminescence, like how it was just like very bright and stuff. I wasn't like too thrilled on the coloring they chose for like the past. Again, like always establishing like a past, like in other movies that we've seen, they kind of like change the lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like whatever. But obviously it's not the whole movie, so it was fine when it hit present day. Coloring was great. All the visual effects were great. Like the bus scene is awesome. It was just like the fight scene was timed really perfectly. Obviously, just the effects with all of that, and just like the sideways filming and him coming out of the side, and just all the little details that Disney puts into it. I mean, that's why I love Disney movies, is because they just like really pay attention to details. They think about every little thing and every little person who's in the background and in the front, and everything goes well together. So I thought that was good. I loved just like the change of sceneries from like San Francisco to where his sister is. Where is his sister exactly?
It's in China.
It is in China, right? Okay. It's just kind of like it. I don't know.
I made sure to pay attention to that because once again, I didn't want to say like Chinese and it'd be like in Japan.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
So like,
Yeah, it's in China, but it's more of in like a metropolitan area, which is like really cool.
yeah.
And then like the nitty gritty of like her underground world and how it's like in this sky rise, and I don't know, I really like all that. I think that's really cool.
And then
it's
there's also
just so different.
So there's two post-credit scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of it, his sister is left to dispose of the Ten Rings organization, and instead, you see her reverse all of what
Mm-hmm.
she thinks wrong with it. She's like, okay, well, I'm in charge now, and we've got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, women are going to be training here too because that's how I see it happening. Because if I can do what I do, obviously we can find some capable women.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, did you take away that she was going to be good still, or
I was given like
do you think she more inherited the father's
she's
need
gonna
for power in a sense, and Shang-Chi is more like the pure-hearted of the mother. You know what I mean? Like they always have that, the
I feel like-
siblings that inherit their parents, good
I
and
feel
bad
like Shang-Chi is
virtues.
going to have to encounter that in his next movie.
I think so too.
I don't think it's
going to
be the main like
no, but I
villain,
think it's
but
going to be some type of tie-in or some type of conflict. It's got to be.
It'll-
Why else would they
it'll be
make
a
that an
thing
extra scene?
where he needs something, he needs help, and he reaches out to his
Mhm.
sister.
And
and
she's
they're
not
gonna, like-
exactly doing it like the more.
They're going to vaguely imply that she's like not necessarily the best of company.
Yeah, either that or she doesn't take like the high ground. She just takes more of the dirty way to get things done, if you will.
Yeah. No, but I definitely thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, it
but
was awesome.
I guess we can get into our scoring. I kind of spoiled your bit on what people think. Do you have the Metascore available? I did not disclose that one.
Yeah, no, it was received really well. Everybody loves it. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. If you're into superheroes, obviously check it out. If you're not into superheroes, still check it out. I thought it was still good.
And also get your head checked. But
I'm not like I've seen pretty much every Marvel movie, but I'm not too good about like explaining all the multiverses and dimensions.
That's why I'm the expert there. I'll step in and
Okay.
explain that.
Yeah, it got 71, so 48 critics rated it on here, and most of them liked it. A lot of people liked it. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't get like I don't know, nominated for like special effects,
Yeah.
editing, things like that, cinematography. All
No,
of
I
those.
agree.
I
Yeah.
think for sure it'll be up for an Oscar for that. I mean, it'd be cool if they were to do like acting. I know they don't really do action movies for acting usually, but
Yeah.
you
But
never know.
I would say the hardest part for me about scoring this is that this movie faces a lot of competition within its own, like not even just genre, but like brand. Like Marvel movies is what we're comparing it to. It's not.
Yeah, and obviously like Marvel has like a really high standard.
Yeah.
So
Well, so like it's obviously not better than Endgame. I mean, there's some people
no.
that would disagree with you on that, but
Yeah, I mean Endgame is so good. Even Infinity Wars is really good.
exactly. Like, so most of the Avengers movies, you could place Black Panther in there somewhere. I feel like it was better than Black Panther. I would step out there and say that.
Really?
Or not better. I think they're equal. They're the
I
same.
know. I think for me, I like Black Panther's like powers better or his like spy gear in a sense.
Well,
I like him into all those like gadget things,
Well,
like
that also gets
like
into
Tony Stark. You know what I mean?
well, that also gets into the one where we talk about like his fight where he like loses his way happens a lot earlier in the movie, and then he has like a longer path to take to get back. Like the story, I
Wait,
think takes
who are you talking about?
for Black Panther. I think he's taken a
Oh,
little
okay.
further out of it and comes back more. Whereas
Yeah.
Shang-Chi's is kind of like, okay, we had to spend the entire first part of this movie telling you his origin story.
Yeah, and
Whereas-
obviously, like Black Panther's origin story is a little bit more gut wrenching, but
And also, I mean, like we were brought in. Black Panther before his movie came out was like a part of Civil War. So like we kind of got a sneak preview. They could do some storytelling there.
Yeah.
Before they even got into the movie, so they had the luxury of more time. Whereas Shang-Chi just enters in on his own movie.
Yeah,
So-
no, I think the way that they tied him in with the whole Doctor Strange character, what is his name?
Wong.
Yeah.
No, and Wong shows up more than once because he's at the
he's in the
underground fight ring.
fight ring. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you obviously know like I mean, how they're kind of tying them in, which is cool. So.
Exactly. But
I did like the Doctor Strange movie.
the Doctor Strange movie,
It was
that's
so
a controversial opinion.
good. I know.
It's not controversial to like it, but like it depends on where you rank it. A lot of people wouldn't rank it that highly in the Marvel universe.
Did you like the Ant-Man ones?
I liked the Ant-Man movies. I thought they were good. Did you not?
I didn't think like the first one wasn't like that great to me. I think I fell asleep in that one.
Well, I think it's
And
mainly
then I
because
think I had
like
to
I love
rewatch
Paul
it.
Rudd,
The second one was definitely a little bit more interesting for me.
and they're making a third one
I know.
with the Quantum Verse. It's gonna be awesome. But anyway, all that to say, there's so many great movies in the Marvel universe
There is.
that our scoring is going to be hard because we not only do it's not like with other movies we've watched where we're like Free Guy was easy to rate because it's like in its own genre.
Yeah.
We're just comparing it like as how good is it as a movie, whereas like I'm like Shang-Chi was good, but I can't give it like a perfect score because
Mhm.
it's not the best movie in its
Mhm.
own universe.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what was your score on, as you know, a scale of 1 to 7?
I would say a 5.5, 6.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. Is that high?
Oh no, you said 5.5, and that I was gonna go with a solid 6. Like I'm 100% sure.
The only reason I didn't go with the 6 is because for me, origin stories, they're hard. They're hard to do. And although they did a really great job, I mean, there were times where it was like, this is a little slow paced. But I did love the action scenes.
I mean, even the best
And the
series
big
like
fight scene was great.
Christopher Nolan's like Batman Begins was slow. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like
So, yeah,
origin
but it was
stories
still
are
good.
always hard to like
no, I feel you on
make
that one.
great unless it is just like this brand new person and being and character that's just never even been told about, and you're just like on the edge of your seat, like who is this person? Where is he
Exactly.
from? But because you kind of have like some backstory on like mostly every superhero besides this one. I mean, personally, I didn't really know anything about him, but I guess if people read the comics, they've known. It is a lot to take in, and it was kind of a lot of like narration, which I prefer more or less like just being in the story with him and experiencing it with him, and then maybe flashing forward. So like
Yeah.
maybe letting the kid kind of drive that story, because I thought the kid was so cute, the one that played him when he was little. But it was a lot of narration, and so I feel like you didn't really
Yeah.
get to like see the kid and feel the kid's emotion. It was more or less like you were absolutely on the outside looking in, so you couldn't really make that connection with Shang-Chi.
Well, one of the things that I could appreciate early on in the movie though was that um, instead of like a lot of Marvel movies, a lot of movies in general, shot by American studios tend to take the approach of everyone speaks English, so we'll just make the movie in English.
Mm-hmm.
But they took the approach of like we're in China, people speak like
Mandarin Chinese.
Mandarin
Yeah.
Chinese,
Mhm.
so we're going to have subtitles.
Yeah. No, I mean,
You
it was.
Americans
I
can
did
read,
feel like it
right?
was very authentic.
Yeah, so I that
I would love
definitely
to know what like the American Asians thought, or even just Chinese population thinks, and
no, yeah, exactly.
see how that kind of like
I know,
lines up to like what it's like, in their culture.
I know
So
the global population thought it was great. So the 71 million in the box office was
hmm
like from uh from
but
America,
keep in
but
perspective, it is $150 million budget
it's
movie.
$150 million budget, but the global box office had it at 139 million
Mm,
opening weekend. So
nice.
those were Wikipedia numbers, so don't quote me there, but I
I went in and typed them first.
I went in and typed them before I
Just
told you
kidding.
them. So
But the cool thing is that they announced that Shang-Chi is going to be at Marvel campus
exactly.
at California Adventure. So that's really cool that they're
Well, they
like
also
already incorporating him on
they also announced he's getting a
the
sequel.
park. Yeah,
which-
and yes, and at the end of it, they said he's going to get another one, so which is really cool because I thought he was great. He's such a good actor, and I really did like him.
no,
I'm
yeah.
a fan.
He was perfect for the role. Perfect,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly cast, which is to be expected. I mean, I remember reading articles back when Avengers was coming out where they were like relative unknowns, Chris Hemsworth, and they were like naming off the actors that are now like Tom Hiddleston, guys that they were casting, and they're like, who is
Mm-hmm.
this guy? Does Marvel even know what they're doing? And now I'm just like, I trust the process.
I
I'm the
I
Joel
feel like
Embiid
most
of the
people
Marvel
at least
universe.
looked at them and thought, "Oh yeah, they'd be good for those roles."
They look the part. We can make them better actors. It's cool.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
We'll figure it out.
Whoa, I liked Chris Evans in Fantastic Four before he became Captain America. Just
What?
saying.
Yeah, I mean, I told you about my tier system for superhero movies. It's a scale of 1 to 3. Three being like
7.
this
1
is
to
the
3.
supremely greatest superhero movie ever,
Mhm.
right? 2 is like most superhero movies because they're like
Did you put
mid-tier
Shang-Chi
good.
in
Shang-Chi's a tier 2 movie,
tier 2?
and then there's tier 1, which is
Mhm.
like the lowest tier.
Yeah.
Tier 1 is like movies like the Suicide Squad, Batman versus Superman, Justice League,
Mhm.
movies that like are mostly DC Universe movies where it's
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
movie was a superhero movie.
Maybe like
and,
Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire.
yeah, like a
Yeah,
movie that I
that
didn't
wasn't
mind
that great.
watching, but it was cringe at points. But it was a
Mhm.
super like I think I've said it before. There's no such thing as a bad superhero movie to me. I will watch any
Did
superhero
you watch the
movie.
new Fantastic Four after?
I didn't get a chance to catch it, but
See,
but if it came
exactly.
on, I would watch it.
Okay.
I just wasn't. I
I didn't watch it
I was a
either.
little busy doing. I don't know if you know this, but I have a pretty busy schedule. Okay,
Mm.
but it's recently cleared up. It's a little more
Yeah,
open
babe.
now. Yeah, but anyway, all that to say, if we watch a superhero movie and we review it,
Mhm.
you'll expect to hear high praises from me, or at least a highly analytical opinion on it.
Mhm.
I'll have something to say about it. That's the very least you'll get from me.
Okay.
So, all right. So next week we will be watching
My pick.
your pick, which I'm excited about because
Are you?
Courtney did her research here. Because my best guess is that this is just an off week in the box
Well,
office.
it's because October's coming in. All the horror movies are coming in, and
Courtney doesn't
frankly,
want to
yeah,
watch
I
the
don't
horror
really wanna
movies,
watch them.
which is fine.
I like psychological thrillers.
Yeah, but we didn't see any of those in the
Yeah, or
up and
like
comings.
movies about why people are the way they are.
Yeah. So
So we're gonna watch Queen Pins, which if you haven't heard of it, like I didn't, yeah, look it up. It's with Kristen Bell, Vince Vaughn, Joel McHale, Paul Walker Hauser. How do you say it? BB Rexa?
PB Rex,
Yeah.
you've got Kevin from Kevin
From
is
99?
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, so I'm excited. It's basically based on a true story about these two suburban moms who go into coupon fraud.
To make the money. You
to
said.
make money. Yeah.
I think one of the direct quotes from the preview is, you know who does well is people who don't follow the rules.
Yeah. So if you're into like just somewhat of a minor true crime stories of people who just commit crimes and don't get away with it.
If you're into Kristen Bell whipping a Lamborghini through an
Mhm.
airport runway,
Yeah. I think it'll be funny.
then yeah.
The trailer seemed flat and funny, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna rate well with the common audience.
Currently has a 7.1 for all the people who have seen it. The release date is the 10th,
did
so
Reminiscence.
we'll see. Yeah, so like the people who
So,
saw it kind
thought it
of
was
like
good,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
we'll
I think
see.
it's definitely going to be more targeted audience if you like that certain type of
It-
humor or those people, you'll probably like it.
It definitely, I guess the only competition it has going into that weekend is a bunch of horror movies. So
Yeah. So if you're not into the comedy, then don't watch it.
yeah,
We'll
no
watch it for
doubt.
you.
No, it sounds like a great one. But with that being said, I guess we'll bring the podcast to a close. I know you guys, this has been a longer edition because the movie was really good. And I know as much as you guys love hearing us talk, that you'd love for this to continue. But this has been
Courtney.
And I have been James Roy. And this has been the Noise Date Night edition.
Yep.
Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever the cool kids
Mhm.
are doing. Follow our TikTok
Constructive
channel.
criticism,
I don't know.
all the things.
All the links are in the bios of wherever you got this from. So hit us up. Let us know what you think. And have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.